WNBA CBA. Alexa Philippou just put out an article last night on New Year's Eve, and it says WNBA projecting big losses in latest proposal. The union disagrees. She said, as negotiations over a new CBA near the January 9th deadline, the WNBA and WNBPA remain far apart on several key issues. What a revenue sharing system would look like, what should be considered revenue, and how to account for expenses.
$700 million. That's not a typo. The WNBA is claiming that if they give players what they're asking for, the league will lose more money than it has in its entire 29-year existence. And we're 8 days away from the January 9th deadline, with both sides still miles apart. But here's what makes this fascinating. The players' union thinks those numbers are complete fiction. So either the league is lying about being on the verge of financial collapse, or the players are demanding something that would literally bankrupt the WNBA. Somebody's math isn't adding up.
So basically, the WNBPA asked for 30% of gross revenue, and they also asked for a $1 million average player salary with the max salary of $2.5 million. And the league is basically saying, if we do what you guys are asking for, we will lose $700 million, which is more money than we have lost in the entire existence of the WNBA. Now, the WNBA players and the union believes that that projection is absolutely false. So again, at this point in time, we do not have clear numbers. We do not.
Let's break down what's actually on the table. The WNBPA wants 30% of gross revenue, with a salary cap around $10.5 million per team. That would create an average player salary of $1 million, with max contracts hitting $2.5 million. Compare that to the current CBA, where the average salary is around $20,000 and the max is $201,000. We're talking about roughly an 800% increase in player compensation. The league's response? That proposal would create $700 million in losses over the life of the agreement. According to multiple sources who spoke with ESPN's Alexa Philippou, the WNBA is projecting this would threaten the league's financial health in a way they've never seen before.
Obviously, they are expanding teams. The league will soon grow to 18 teams. Portland and Toronto will debut in 2026, and Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia recently paid $250 million each to join the league between 2028 and 2030. But the league considers expansion fees a transaction that generates zero net revenue. New teams are out the expansion fee, but earn a fractional share of future league revenue, while pre-existing teams get a portion of the fee, but lose a fractional share of future league revenue. I mean, I don't know, you guys. Through all of this, I feel like I've just become like a financial advisor. And to be honest with you guys, I'm not even good at math. All of this stuff is so confusing to me. And then on top of all of that, we don't even know what's true or not.
Now here's where it gets complicated. The WNBA just sold expansion fees to Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia for $250 million each. That's $750 million coming into the league between 2028. Portland and Toronto are joining in. The Golden State Valkyries just had a massively successful inaugural season with sold-out crowds and intense fan engagement. So how can a league that's expanding to 18 teams and collecting $750 million in expansion fees claim they can't afford to pay players? The league's answer is that expansion fees are considered a zero-sum transaction. New teams pay the fee but get a share of future revenue. Existing teams get the fee but lose a fraction of their future revenue share. According to their accounting, it nets out to zero, but the players aren't buying it. The union believes the league is using creative accounting to hide profitability and justify keeping salaries artificially low.
We truly don't. All we know at this point in time is it still seems like both sides are not coming to any sort of agreement. It seems like the union is sticking to this 30% revenue share. The league is saying we will lose $700 million, and that will threaten the future of the league if we give you guys this revenue share. And we've talked about it in previous episodes. I do think that there's a worry in the league that this success the league has seen over the last 2 years could be a bubble. Like, 2 years is not enough time to prove how successful this league can.
There's another factor nobody's talking about enough. The ownership structure of the WNBA is fundamentally different from every other professional sports league. The NBA owns 40% of the league. The WNBA teams collectively own another 40%, and outside investors own the remaining portion after Kathy Engelbert sold off equity in recent years. This matters because when you're negotiating revenue share, you have to ask, revenue share of what? Exactly. The pie is already divided 3 ways before players even get to the table. Those outside investors didn't put money into the league out of charity. They expect returns. The NBA isn't running the WNBA as a loss leader anymore. They want profitability. So when the players ask for 30% of gross revenue, they're asking for a piece of a pie that's already been carved up by multiple parties with competing financial interests. Restructuring that would take years, not the 6 months they've had to negotiate this CBA.
League is worried about this little bubble and they want more proof that all of this success can be sustainable. And you did see with the Golden State Valkyries, like they had a very successful inaugural season. And I think the league is also thinking like, okay, with these new teams, with these new fans that are getting season tickets and the new hype behind it, like we might have something here, but it might take a few years to get there. And we just can't risk the percentage of revenue share. And that's why, you guys know, I'm hoping that they figure something out.
And then there's the elephant in the room that nobody wants to acknowledge. 2 years of growth doesn't prove sustainability. The WNBA saw record attendance in viewership skyrocketed. The All-Star Game drew more votes than the entire previous year combined. Merchandise sales went through the roof. But how much of that success is directly tied to one player? When Caitlin Clark got injured last season, the numbers dropped immediately. When she wasn't in the 2025 draft class, viewership for the draft fell off a cliff compared to the league knows this. They're looking at the data and seeing that their sudden explosion in popularity is heavily concentrated around a single rookie who's played exactly 2 seasons. What happens if she gets injured long term? What happens if the casual fans who showed up for the Caitlin Clark phenomenon lose interest? The league is terrified this is a bubble, and they're being asked to commit to salary structures based on 2 years of unprecedented growth that might not be repeatable.
CBA. That is something that would take years, and they don't have the time to do that. But with all of this, you know, I think that they'll probably extend the negotiations again. But with all this, like they still haven't done the draft. There's a lot of things that need to be done during the offseason. There's a lot of free agents in the WNBA who don't even know where they're playing next season, and they can't even start figuring that stuff out until they get the CBA done. So that's where we're at with that. That's the update. I want to update you guys as best as I possibly can. But at this point in time, all of the numbers are swirling around in my brain and I'm not that great at math, so I'm doing the best.
Meanwhile, the draft still hasn't happened. Free agents don't know where they're playing next season. Teams can't plan their rosters. The entire offseason is frozen while these negotiations drag on. And we're 1 week away from the second deadline after they already extended once. The public opinion war is exhausting fans at this point. You've got sources leaking to reporters from both sides. The union is putting out statements about fair compensation. The league is pushing back with financial projections. Hardcore WNBA fans are openly saying they don't even want to hear about it anymore until there's an actual resolution. And here's the thing that should worry everyone. Public support doesn't matter in these negotiations. The owners and investors are in this to make money. They're not going to cave to social media pressure or signs at games. They're looking at spreadsheets and financial models.
Back for the beginning-ish of WNBA season, assuming that they have a WNBA season, but it seemed like she was just trying to rehab, trying to get better, and she ended up needing surgery. So hopefully this doesn't affect her career in the long term, and this surgery just gets her back to 100%. But with that, you guys, that's some good news, some bad news to kick off the new year.
So where does this actually end? Best case scenario, they extend the negotiations again and grind toward a compromise. Maybe the players come down from, maybe the league increases the salary cap enough to make a meaningful difference without committing to numbers they claim would bankrupt them. They play a few more seasons under a new agreement and revisit this in 2 or 3 years when there's more data about whether the growth is sustainable. Worst case scenario, we're looking at a lockout. No 2026 season. All the momentum from the last 2 years evaporates overnight. Casual fans who just started paying attention lose interest and never come back. The league's credibility takes a massive hit, and players lose an entire year of their already short careers while the league loses millions in revenue and destroys relationships with new fans. The middle ground is ugly but realistic. They reach a deal that nobody's truly happy with. Players get a raise, but not what they were hoping for. The league commits to numbers they're uncomfortable with but can technically survive. Both sides feel like they left money on the table. And they run it back in a few years when the financial picture is clearer. But here's what's really at stake. This isn't just about salaries. It's about whether the WNBA can actually function as a sustainable professional sports league or if it's always going to be stuck in this cycle of fighting over scraps. The players deserve to be paid like professionals, but the league has to actually be profitable enough to pay them. And right now, nobody can agree on whether that's even possible. The NBA subsidized the WNBA for decades. That era is ending. The league needs to stand on its own financially. But the players are saying, you're expanding, you're selling teams for $250 million, you're signing billion-dollar media deals. Where's our cut? And the league is responding, those media deals are projections, expansion fees don't count as revenue by our accounting standards. And if we pay you what you're asking, we'll lose $700 million. Prove us wrong with the actual numbers. But here's the problem. Neither side is showing their full hand. The league won't open their books completely. The players' union is relying on projections and comparisons to other leagues without full access to WNBA financial data. So we're all stuck trying to figure out who's telling the truth based on leaked information and carefully worded press releases. What we do know is this: the WNBA has never been more popular. Attendance is up, viewership is up, merchandise sales are up. Expansion is happening faster than anyone predicted. The product on the court is elite. The talent level has never been higher. And yet, we're 1 week away from a potential work stoppage, because the league and the players can't agree on how to split the money. That's not a recipe for long-term success. That's a league that's still figuring out its identity 29 years after it started. And the clock is ticking. So what happens on January 9th? Do they extend again and keep negotiating? Do they reach a last-minute compromise? Or do we wake up to news that the 2026 season is in jeopardy? Because right now, 8 days out, nobody seems to know. And that uncertainty is killing the momentum the league worked so hard to build. The players deserve to be paid fairly. The league deserves to be financially stable. Fans deserve to watch basketball. But somebody's gonna have to blink first. And with this much money on the table and this much ego invested in the outcome, neither side seems ready to give in. We'll find out in 8 days whether the WNBA's biggest growth period in history ends with a lockout. Let me know in the comments. Do you believe the league's $700 million loss projection? Or do you think they're hiding profitability to keep salaries low? Because this whole situation comes down to who you trust with the numbers. And right now, I'm not sure either side has earned that trust.